try to change things. I want to introduce the man who has our children's education at heart and makes it work for us in most of the state. Chairman Pat Deig.
First of all, and this is not a joke, Valerie and Tim, along with Joe, are three of the most respected members of the legislature, and whenever there's any issue of any consequence, they are always in the lead, and it's an honor to be here this evening. I heard a story today, and maybe you're familiar with it. If you did, you're going to have to put up with it again. 7 o'clock in the morning, the alarm goes off, the mother goes into the room and says, "Johnny, you got to get up. It's time for school." I said, "Mom, I don't want to go to school. It's the day of the Parcc test." "You got to get up. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. You got to get up. School starts short." "I don't want to. The Parcc test is hard. It's all confusing. I don't want to get up." "Johnny, you're the 4th grade teacher. Get up, get dressed, and go to school." I have been, when I was first elected to the Assembly, the way it works is you actually go and talk. I hate this incidentally, this long distance business. Well, we can do that with the questions. When I was first elected, what happens is you go and you talk to the speaker, and the speaker will say, "What committees do you want to be on?" And I'm a lawyer by trade, and I said to him, "I want to be on the Education Committee." And the speaker said, "Why?" And I'm not making this is not some made-up story. I said, "Because I wouldn't be standing here today if it was not for available quality public education." Both my parents were immigrants. My dad was a milkman, my mom was a maid. My dad worked like a dog. He left the house before 7 o'clock in the morning, came home before sunup in the morning, came home after dark in the afternoon. My mom had 7 kids, typical Irish family. I was the last of 7. And if it wasn't for quality, available education, there's no way, shape, or form I ever would have been able to succeed. And that is at risk right now, folks. We have some folks in power who actually truly believe, if you have them in this room today, they absolutely, positively believe that privatizing education is the way to go. There are now bills that are circulating that even want to privatize the evaluation process. Are you familiar with that? Because they say it will bring in more consistency. You won't have the subjectivity of someone that knows the teacher evaluating them. Is that enough to blow your brains out?
Yeah.
As I always say, you don't need a test to determine a good teacher. All you got to do is stand in the back of the classroom for about 10 minutes and you can figure it out. So, and again, in my 14 years in Trenton and in my 14 years on the Education Committee, I've never heard anything like what's going on with Parcc. Everywhere I go, people stop me and say, "What in God's name are you doing with Parcc?" I went to Dunkin' Donuts the other day. The guy behind the counter actually had my picture on his cell phone, and he said he did that so he'd remember to tell me, "Stop Parcc." I went to a diner the other night. We had a Democratic committee meeting, and a few graduating seniors came up and said to me, all they're doing is preparing for Parcc. Teachers, parents. See, I a little bit disagree with Tim. I think right now maybe the governor will take a second look at Parcc for all kinds of reasons. One of which, obviously, he wants a national profile, and explaining Parcc to the folks in Iowa and South Carolina and Alabama, I think it's going to be a little bit difficult. So I think the time is actually right. I have submitted 2 bills, both of which are up for consideration this Thursday at the Education Committee meeting, and both of which Valerie and Tim are co-sponsors. The first bill is to give parents the opportunity to opt out of the Parcc test. And the second is to make Parcc, for the next 3 years, nothing more than a pilot program. That it would have no evaluation or weight for anything. Teacher evaluation, class standing, class placement, graduation, nothing. And I know some folks disagree with that, but I think we're going to need some kind of a test. And I think if we're going to get some kind of a test that we can all live with, we've got to basically go through what is necessary to evaluate this test and find out what is wrong about it and hopefully be able to correct it. So we have 80 members of the Assembly. 50 of them both Republicans and Democrats have asked to co-sponsor the bill. So I am very, very confident that it's going to get through the Assembly. I'm sure it's going to get through the Senate, and then it will get to the governor's desk. So hopefully we can at least put a break on this out-of-control train. It's bizarre, you know. Here we are at this late date asking teachers what they think about the test. Does that sound a little bit backwards? I mean, don't you think the first person you should have asked were teachers about the nature of the questions? Well, I actually took the test, and I can tell you it's tough. I think I got like a C. But it's, you know, and here's what disturbs me the most. There is and this is recent. This is not 10 years ago. This is recent. There is a total distrust amongst parents, teachers, administration, and the decision makers in Trenton. Everybody wonders, what are they really up to? What is this Parcc test all about? Are they going to use it to try and privatize? Are they going to use it as a method to advance charter schools? Are they going to do it as a measure to try and attack tenure? And I was on the front lines of that one, and I know Tim and Val were too. You do realize that 3 years ago, the original bill submitted by the governor was abolishing tenure. Everybody's familiar with that. Then the second rendition was there was going to be a revolving 5-year tenure plan. That you get it for 5 years, then you lose it, you have to gain it again. And every one of those renditions of the bill had one thing in common. Everybody know what the one thing in common was? A magic test. That if the class did not achieve in a certain manner on a particular test, that would be, and the word was, the determining factor for tenure. And I'm happy to say with the 100 support, I'm not taking credit, I just was fortunate enough to be there, of our then Speaker Sheila Oliver. She basically said, no way, no how, not going to happen. So really it was Sheila that stood in the way of that happening. So this is a continuing battle, and we all have to be vigilant. But don't feel that we're sitting back. We are attacking this. We do have plans afoot. I'm very, very confident it's going to get through the legislature. But you know, it's something that we all have to stay vigilant, and please continue to send in letters and let folks know and all the rest. But again, people are. The refreshing thing is people are really aware of it. They're absolutely aware of it. So I don't know how you want to. Any other things you want to talk about? Charters or anything else you want me to talk about? You want to just do questions? What do you want to do? A bunch of questions.